2020 BMW Z4 first drive prototype vertical bar. Fans of the Roadster, rejoice. The sun is warm, the breeze is cool, and the road is winding. Everything is fine in the south of France, especially when driving a BMW 2014 Z4 prototype. The new Roadster coming into the market despite the seemingly unsatisfied public appetite will swing past the hardtop coupe I feed. It's safe to say that the car I tested will not exist without BMW's technical partnership with Toyota, which trades hybrid drivetrain technology for the sporty platform to be shared with Supra to be manufactured by Japanese manufacturers. That means some things have changed. For starters, the hardtop is pulled off the old Lost model, replaced with a simple soft fold top that helps trim the weight and lower the center of gravity, and takes 10 seconds to propagate at speeds up to 31 miles per hour. Other additional benefits. 9.35 gallon luggage volume remains unchanged, regardless of top position. Some of the Z4 weight savings from aluminum construction that are ameliorated by chassis reactors in the form of cross members increase the torsional rigidity of 20%. Although the Z4 wheelbase is shrinking about an inch, the tracks are wider and wider, the width increases by 2.8 inches and the length of the bumper to bumper extends 3.2 inches. Despite the acquisition of dimensions, the overall mass remains essentially the same, at 3,384 lbs. The power comes from the same single turbo engine, the 3.0-liter B58 straight-six twin-scroll that you'll find in bimmers like the M240i, with a special Z4 calibration. But unlike the European version, trapped with particulate filters for tighter emission rules, the US-bound Z4 will enjoy an increase of 50 horsepower resulting in total output of up to 382 HP, while torque is 369 lb-ft thumpy. The time at the Miramas private BMW test circuit begins with a familiar lap on M2 and M240i, a decent ride for a small Z4 Roadster benchmarking. Unlike the weight-bearing coupe and small rear seat dimensions, the Z4 cockpit is more driver-centric, with a new TFT dashboard and an uncomplicated switchgear that includes the Comfort/Sport/Sport Plus rocker buttons mounted on the rear of the BMW. Controls manage variables such as throttle response, ZF8 speed shift behavior, valving on customizable shock systems, and differential power delivery and torque vectoring of electronic characteristics. In its basic setting, Z4 feels calm, offering a balance midway between chassis stiffness and compliance. Dial up to Sport, or better yet, Sport Plus, and persona changed significantly. The body roll was reduced, and the steering felt good with the chassis, giving the response rate that made the car begging to be thrown through the bend. Of course, rigid shocks make a clear distinction, as well as the steering wheel of the next generation of electric, which brings the feel of Sport, and Sport Plus is larger without a heavy sense of the wheel. Individual allows each parameter to be calibrated independently. Uneven gear distances on the steering wheel result in increased ratio. This is more subtle than the overly aggressive ramp on the M240i. Front 255mm Z4, 19 inches and 275mm rear Michelin Super Sports helps by offering a linear relationship between input and response. The Z4's electronic differentials variability plays a surprising role in the drive mode settings. I took some laps with a BMW engineer in the passenger seat, and controlling the E-diff with the laptop he demonstrated that the Z4's levels of braking stability, turning sharpness, and torque vectoring upon exit can be dramatically affected with a few keystrokes. The more crucial test of the Z4's capabilities come where this Roadster will no doubt spend the most of its time, on the road. Top-down driving with a small wind deflector in place behind the seats offered a relatively quiet turbulence-free cabin. The small twisty roads near the track offer a nice challenge for the Z4, as does the local driving population's questionable lane discipline, which tests the reflexes of driver and vehicle alike. While the most aggressive drive setting is stiff enough to inspire confidence, it's never jarring, which is perhaps in keeping with the Z4's status as an on-M performance car. While I would have preferred it to be a little stiffer, the underpinnings match the car's sporting personality. The chassis feels solid and the suspension is communicative, in the way drivers have come to expect from BMWs of yore. Also satisfying is grunt. Even in its muted European form, the S58 6-cylinder produces loads of power, enough to launch to 62 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds. When you're not making that virtual tachometer needle spin, the Z4 is more sedate highway cruiser than its predecessor thanks to more variable suspension controllability and better chassis tuning. New niceties like a 5 Series S.